Rebalancing Life with Scott Folland. How to live intentionally before you clock out for good. In this episode of the Extreme Personal Finance Show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Extreme Personal Finance Show. I'm excited to be joined by my friend. We met actually in person, right? Where we met at a
Right.
live meetup that we do monthly. Where we talk about finance stuff. It's actually the Twin Cities meetup group for the Stacking Benjamins podcast.
That's right. It's a
Yeah,
great
pretty.
time to get together and with like-minded people and commiserate about things in life that make it better. Yeah.
That's that's right. That's right. So I'm really excited. So Scott Folland is a seasoned pro, and you now kind of have this powerful mind shift toward like intentional living. You know, after working decades through like climbing the corporate ladder.
Actually, no. You're off just a little bit.
Oh,
I'm in healthcare. I'm a physician assistant in orthopedics. Yeah. Yeah.
did you? But you now have decided to make this bold move
Yes.
to take a step back.
Absolutely. Yes. I've been in a job that can sometimes be demanding. You know, the day is as long as many patients you have to take care of, and it can be intense, and there's call and so on. And I found the fire concept um, 12 or 13 years ago, and decided and could start and realized I had a little bit of a head start because we had been saving and investing a little bit already. Because we're like a lot of people, were a little bit inclined that way naturally. So we realized, oh, we've got to start on this thing, and we could see momentum. And so I decided to try to get fire, and I wasn't. I never felt like I got to like 50% in investing or anything like that. I had two young kids, and my wife doesn't work outside the home, but we made progress, and we started getting closer. And then this funny thing happened where the pandemic reshook everybody's Etch a Sketch, and
That's a good way to
in
put
our
it,
case,
right?
yeah, and in our case, we were at home in 2020 in the late summer, and realized that my daughters and I wanted to go camping. We went to a campground, and we saw some people in RVs and said, that seems like the way to do it. We should think about doing that for a family. Um, and it occurred to my wife and me that we could take a long RV trip and still have the kids on Wi-Fi in school because they were in remote learning. And so we bought an RV and used and took 6 months sabbatical unpaid from work, and did a big loop around from Minnesota, where we live, down in New Orleans, where we joined some friends. We used to live there for Mardi Gras, and then roamed through the Southwest and up the West Coast, and then through the mountains and back home over about 6 months. And it sort of was it was a sabbatical that I thought of very consciously as a practice of, is this how we want to live our life? Is this what retirement looks like? You know?
Sure. You're gonna test drive retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Like, or a mini retirement. Yeah, as Jillian Johnsrud calls it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So we tested it out, and I kind of realized that I still do like a lot of aspects of my job. Like, in orthopedics, you can have someone come in with a fracture, and you can make an impact in their life where 6 weeks later you're saying goodbye, and they're good to go. Like, they feel way happier than they were. Or treating arthritis, you can make people feel a lot better. So there were parts of my and the collegiality with my fellow professionals. There were parts I missed, but I really love time off too. I really love personal time, like being with my family. And so one of the things I was doing to try to get to fire earlier was I was moonlighting within my company. You can work in this walk-in clinic outside of your regular day hours.
Okay.
And I realized coming back, I'm not doing that anymore. I'd rather have more time at home, more time available where while my girls, then in adolescence, while they're or just going into adolescence, while they're still think it's cool to spend time with their dad,
Sure.
I want to be there for the times that they say, okay, I'm ready now. And that means being home more than now it means just being available. And then it was a lot more time with them.
Hmm.
So I decided I'm not moonlighting anymore. It's going to be less income, and it could take longer to retire, and that's okay, because what I'm solving for is the time that I have with them, where we all live together and we spend time together. Because 10 years from now, every time they come home, it's going to be like golden hour, where I'm greedy and thirsty for the time with them, because they're going to be off living their lives. And I'd rather be, if it was a choice between retiring then, and like if I was completely FI at that point, I might have actually retired,
Mm.
and just said, I'll miss my work, but it's okay. But I wasn't completely FI, so I just said I'm going to slow it down, and that's okay. Also, yeah,
Right on. You mentioned earlier when you discovered, the fire movement, and those of you that may be new, that typically stands for, you reach financial independence with the option to retire early. Fire stands for that. Um, but you mentioned something interesting where it's almost like we need to kind of redefine what that is. Because, like you mentioned, you may have to work a little longer, but you're living more intentionally now,
yeah,
right?
yeah. There are these all these definitions that
Mhm.
people use in the forums or in discussion, within this financial independence, retire early movement, including one in the last few years from the pioneers called Coast Fi, where you get to enough money in your investable accounts that it will grow continually while you don't contribute to it, and you will still be able to retire at the traditional retirement age of, say, 65. And we were sort of already coast fi, but we still want to retire before 65, and I'll still be able to do that,
Mhm.
probably before 60, I think. But it'll just be a few years later than it would be. So it'll still be an earlier retirement than most people, but not as early. And so I'm sort of coast fi, or I don't know. I'm not exactly sure the right definition for coast fi, where you're still retiring early, but something like that. But I still am contributing. I'm still, so yeah, going forward, um, I went to a Camp Fi event 3 years ago, I think, where I first met you.
Yeah,
And or no, I met you right before that. Actually, I'm not sure. We met sometime,
that's right. We did.
and and um, after that, I realized I can step back more and have more time at home. And so I dropped one day every other week. So one day per pay period. I was off every other Friday. And I loved it so much that a year later, I dropped the other Friday. So I'm zero point 0.8 full-time equivalent now. So I get paid 80% what I was getting paid. But I have a 3-day weekend every week.
Wow. Can you back up a little bit? How does one, and again, maybe you just have a little more of that flexibility based on your career and how you can get those hours. Was it like how did you actually have those conversations? Like did you talk with your leadership to say, "Hey, I'm gonna drop off this many hours or this day," or how did like for people listening, how did you have that conversation if they're looking to do
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah, you're right. It is not something, I acknowledge, it's a very lucky thing. It's not something every workplace allows. But so it may be influenced by, like, my profession in the last 25 years or something has become a lot more female than male. Like, I don't know, 60-40 or
Mm,
something like that. Um, and so it may be because of that there's it's a relatively common thing to offer a less than full-time equivalent, because I'm guessing because of trying to balance work and family for working mothers who are
sure.
trying to be home with their kids a little bit more. Because I know a lot of my coworkers who have dropped down from 1.0 to something lower, that it was when they had kids or maybe their second kid. And I've never heard of anybody doing it for any other reason. Uh, it's not something that every job, even at my workplace, can do. Like my boss is a partner, he's an owner of, co-owner of the practice. He can't do it. So what I approached him first,
Mhm.
and he said, I didn't just say because I love sleeping in, though I do. I said, I told him that I really want to spend more time with the kids while they're still home a lot and want to spend time with me. And he said, sounds great. Wish I could have done that.
Right.
And then a year later, when I got the one more day off every other week, he said the same thing. He said, if you want to come back at any time, if it's not working for you, it's available, but I'll just make it work. So he has daughters also, and I think it was easy for him to see that this was going to be a benefit.
Sure.
There are options where he could have gotten another PA to cover the days I'm not there, and he's just kind of a beast who just says, I'm here to work. I'll just do it myself." uh, which I sometimes wonder, does he really need me at all? But that's okay. We want everybody on the team to be flexible and theoretically expendable, where we can keep functioning when they need us to. Yeah.
Good for you, though. I mean, that's so great that you're fortunate to be able to do that. Um, how many years do you have left, do you think? Like full before you actually hang it up for real?
I don't know. I was I really don't know. I think like I was just doing this mental exercise that I wonder, maybe I'm FI right now and I'm not you know watching it closely enough to see it or something like that. And what if I am? So does that mean that I would turn in my resignation right away? And I don't think I would yet. I do actually like having some of this work in my life because
Hmm.
of how I said it's rewarding
Yeah.
intrinsically. Um, and though it does provide some stress, it so far it's a balance that is working better. I think if I think what I would do if I found out that I'm all the way FI is I would propose dropping down to zero point 0.6, like have a 4-day weekend every week, or three days working every week, and see if that was available as an option.
Sure.
And if it wasn't, then just say, hey, well, I'll think about it and see how it goes for a little while, and maybe not keep working. I think that's where I'm at. So I'm guessing I'm 55 now, so I'm guessing that by the time I'm 58 or 59, I'll probably be retired, but I'm not certain of that.
Sure. Well, I mean, if you like what you do and it's really, filling your cup, then keep doing it, you know?
Yeah, and the other thing is, I kind of like modeling to my girls that um, work isn't only something you do for money, but it's something you do as part of being engaged in society and
I
actively
love that.
thinking. And yeah,
I absolutely love that. I think more young people should take you should go talk to more young people
yeah.
because that's
I mean,
you
Taylor
know,
Swift doesn't go on tour because she needs the money. You
that's
know?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I used to talk. So, my bonus daughter, my daughter that was my foster daughter for several years, I
Hmm.
remember talking with her, and we were like looking through registering for classes the following year, and we were looking at, well, what are we going to continue on going to college? And it was so interesting because she did not want her job or her work to be what she was passionate about, which was
Oh,
so interesting, right? Like for me, like it was one of those things where I kind of took well, hey, if you find what you love to do, you never work a day in your life. I don't necessarily believe that. I think you work harder in some cases, right? If you really love what you
yeah,
do. But in her mind, like passion and work were completely two different things. You went to work to make your money, and then
yeah,
your off time was when she was into, you know, um, she loved reading and she loved poetry and she loved like writing, and she would want to do that. And I was like, oh, well, you know what? You could submit articles, you could become a freelance writer. There's all these things you could have done.
hmm,
And she was like, well, no, I don't want to, that's work. Like, I don't want to get paid to that. And it was just interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I had this vision. I wouldn't have stated it as absolutely or profoundly, but I kind of had this. I shied away, even though I love reading and I love literature. I shied away from an English degree because every time I took an English lit class, I felt like I'm reading too much at too great a speed. I'm not enjoying it.
Oh,
Like I like to
interesting.
just sort of sink in. I'm not a fast reader. I like to take my time and really absorb it, and really maybe I get into it more that way or something. But I actually thought the pace to keep up with of reading these stories or books, it makes it so it's not fun anymore. And
Hmm.
was what the degree would have been like for me. Yeah. And
Sure.
in fact, my older daughter, she's going off to college next year. She's doing a gap year first. She's a really good violinist and um, has decided that even though she wants to be a double major with a music major, um, she does not want to go into the profession because she just thought practicing 20 or 30 hours a week for the rest of my life will take the fun out of being a good musician.
Yeah. And isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And it is interesting too. I was actually just watching an interview with Kirk Hammett from Metallica,
Oh, yeah.
and he was talking about how, you know, the best of the best, like if you want to be a really good guitar player, you're going to play hours and hours and hours a day, and it is going to be what you do.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder, I mean,
Yeah. You don't just pick it up and shred.
I know it's like,
Yeah.
you know, is that but then again, it's like, I mean, is it still work for someone like that? I don't know.
Yeah. Good point.
Oh, right on. Do you think that still today, society puts so much pressure on just staying in the workforce until retirement? I had talked briefly um, about how, the traditional concept of retirement is kind of outdated. We
Hmm.
talked about that with Jillian Johnsrud. Do you feel as though it's still kind of the people still think that way, or is it going away?
Oh no, I think the traditional, in at least in my professional life and my
Hmm.
friend circle, traditional retirement is still the dominant paradigm that
Really?
people. Yeah, like I went to this Camp Fi event
Hmm.
recently, and when I would tell people, "Oh yeah, I was away for this thing," people would just the usual reaction is, "Huh,
Right.
wow, that's interesting." Why would they kind of just stop there? Like they don't know what to ask about it even. It's still considered sort of an outlier thing to say, I'd rather be financially independent much earlier in my life so that everything I'm doing out of choice for its value instead of for money. That just it still doesn't really ring with a lot of people. That and I'm sure a lot of people think, I wonder how much he inherited or something like
Right,
that,
right.
because that. Couldn't be me, you know.
Exactly. Which again, a lot of times it could be if you just make those intentional choices along the way, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, so when people like if you're let's say you're at a networking event, you're at an event like Campfi and someone asks you, hey Scott, what do you do? Are you semi-retired or how do you
Yeah.
answer that question?
Yeah. Well, I say I work as a physician assistant, and I always tell people I don't mind if you want to ask questions about your achy thing, whatever. I'm fine with it because I like talking about it. Um, but I'll say, but on Fridays I'm retired. Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. And people at work, it may be annoying, and they just don't say so, but they'll say that yesterday. It's today's Friday, and yesterday when everybody'd say, "Hey, how's it going?" I'd say, "TGIT." Today, thank God it's Thursday because I'm out for the weekend.
I love
Um,
that.
Yeah. So on Friday, like on Saturdays and Sundays, they're just the same weekend day. But on Friday, I really hold it dear. It has not become a routine thing yet because I really pay attention in a mindful way that this is special. This is unusual.
Mhm.
My team is at work today, and they were there. when I woke up.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, do you
I mean,
think?
it's not like I'm fishing all day or something like
Sure.
that. It's still like a lot of errands and appointments.
Hmm.
Just, but that's what retirement is for a lot of people too. Like I hear from my retired patients all the time of, I can't believe how busy I was. I can't believe I ever had time to work,
Right.
because there's so much to do. Well, that's some of what I'm doing too. I do usually get in a bike ride, and once in a while I practice guitar, but it's a lot of like catching up on things after I sleep in and read the paper. Yeah.
Right on. I would say my slow mornings with my cup of coffee is cherished time now, right?
Good.
and
Yeah.
and especially in like the winter. So those of you that may be listening, knew I retired a year ago, February, and like when it's winter and I am taking my slow morning, watching the snow come down, and I turn on the news and you see traffic backups on the highway
Ah,
for miles, I don't miss
just
that.
feel compassion for them and say, well, I guess it's not me today. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
great. That's great.
Do you think one of the biggest challenges, I should say, um, was the loss of identity. And so maybe
Yeah.
again, taking gradual steps away was a little easy, maybe may make it easier. But like for me, my entire professional career, it's like my identity was wrapped up in what I did. So my
Hmm.
job was who I was. What do you think? I mean, is your identity shifting now to, well, now you're Scott, that's, you're a father, you're a bike enthusiast, you play guitar, you
Hmm.
do all these things. You're not just a physician's assistant.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. I think that the closer I get to feeling like I'm financially independent, again, I'm a little foggy on how close I am, but I think I'm getting close. Um, whether my point is, it's not actually relevant how close I am. The feeling of being close to it, just the like sense of, yeah, I'm almost there, um, is changing the way I feel about who I am, because um, I just have this sense of like, I have a job that's really good and I think it's interesting in a nerdy way. Um, and I also have the Tour de France, which I love to watch, or the whatever bike races. And I ride myself a lot. And I also have reading, and I also have cooking for my family and having friends over. And there are all these other things that I feel like, yeah, this is a big part of my day.
Mm,
This is not just like something I do. This is something of who I am too.
right
Yeah.
on, right on. Do you think, if someone's listening to this or watching on YouTube and they're thinking about downshifting their career a little bit, right?
Hmm.
What worries did you have, or what things were maybe a little scary going into it? Or I guess what advice would you have somebody that's kind of thinking about it?
Oh, um, yeah. So I think one of the biggest worries is just an operational one of, will my workplace allow this? That's
Hmm.
probably the biggest one. And some people have a sense for that because there are precedents, like I had with some of my female colleagues, but it's not always there. I should say that for the sabbatical, when I approached my boss saying I want to take 6 months off and I'm not asking for pay, but I want to have my place held in the team when I come back, and I want to have my seniority at the company held back for benefits purposes.
Hmm.
Right away, he said, "Oh, I see that. Let's bring it to HR." And we brought it to HR, and they said, "We don't have a policy for this at all. There's no precedent. No one's ever asked for this much time off or
Wow.
anything." And they said, "It doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means we have to write something and get it approved by the board."
Sure.
And right, everybody said yes. It was like a no-brainer. And I tell people at work all the time, there's a policy where you can take a sabbatical, and I don't know how long the policy is written for, but I know 6 months was approved.
Right, right.
No one has taken it.
That's got to make you feel good, though. I mean, you literally created this policy at
Yeah,
work. I
and
mean,
the
that's kind of
company was
cool.
perfectly amenable to it as long as my physician leader was fine with it.
Hmm.
Um, and why wouldn't they be? It doesn't affect them at all. And so there may be some opportunities like that for people who don't have something set as a precedent already. Like you could ask and they might just say no, but you're not going to ask, can I step down to 4 days a week? And they're going to say, that's it, you're out of here.
Right, right.
They're just going to say, no, we can't do it. That's the worst case scenario. And so I think that as far as fears for going forward, the biggest fear might be just a fear of judgment that you're not enthusiastic enough for being on the team to be there 5 days a week or something. But I haven't encountered anything like that.
Right,
I
right.
mean, everybody knows that time off is good. That seems like a pretty universal thing. I'm sure there are some hard charging competitive environments where if you take time off, you're considered a loser or something. But I thankfully don't work in quite one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know that there's been talk about some people, they work very intensely. And so if you're not there or you're not, I mean, even when I worked at a smaller tech startup here in Minneapolis, if you weren't some of the first people there and the last ones to leave, it was kind of looked at
Yeah.
like, hey, you're not grinding like the rest of us, right?
You're unserious.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, at the time, like there was actually a time there where I was going through divorce and, my kids were smaller and the kids were going back and forth. And so there were times when, yeah, I couldn't be there at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't stay until 6 o'clock at night. And you kind of
Yeah.
felt, well, everyone on this floor is going to think I'm just like less ambitious because I'm leaving early. But you know,
Yeah.
so what is like one of the biggest, what's something that surprised you the most so how long have you been doing this like shortened schedule?
I dropped down every other Friday off year and 2 months ago, I think, and then 2 years and 2 months ago, and then a year and 2 months ago for every Friday off.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. What's something that surprised you the most of having that shorter schedule?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I thought I would feel like I have so much time on my hands, and like all the other people who are retired, I feel like it gets filled pretty quickly.
It does.
Yeah, I like people would say, "What are you going to do with all that time?" But there are lots of things to do. What it really does is it offloads a lot of those to-do list things from my Saturday and Sunday,
Hmm.
and they're a lot more free.
Yeah.
But I sort of thought it was going to feel like another, yeah, another Sunday where it was like almost nothing scheduled. But it ends up being like that's when you get your appointments done, and that's when you get you run to the thing that's only open on weekdays and so on.
Hmm.
And there's picking up the house and stuff, and all that stuff makes it easier to have a free Saturday and Sunday. And during the school year, that matters for spending time with my girls, which was the original impetus for it. I have a hard time picturing myself wanting to go back after an empty nester to 1.0. I mean, that's 4 years from now, but I really don't picture saying, well, the girls are gone, I don't need to be retired on Fridays anymore. That just
Right,
doesn't.
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too because you're exactly right. I remember I was talking with actually just this week. I was talking to an uncle of mine. He's older. He's retired. He lives in Florida, and we were just talking. And he brought up the fact. He goes, I think it's really great that you were able to retire early. So I'm really proud of you. But you're going to get bored. And I'm like, man, no. I mean, so far, there's
Yeah.
I have so much going on. I can't believe, like you said, I can't believe I had a full-time job and tried
Yeah.
to fit all this in too.
Yeah. Somebody at the Camp 5 event recently was saying that she's close to 5, but she doesn't know what she likes. She said, I've been a full-time mom of multiple kids, and they're all approaching the door now. And I've been working full-time. My husband's been working full-time. I haven't had any free time to myself to actually have hobbies or interests or
Sure.
anything like that. It's like, I'm a little scared about what I'm going to do. Like, I think I'm going to be really bored. And I feel intense compassion for her and don't understand the position at all. Like, I feel like that is a real serious anxiety that must be really difficult. But I've never felt like I don't know what I'm going to do in retirement because I have so many things that I love that take a lot of time.
Hmm.
And I think I would love them more if I got to do them more. I suspect, So yeah, I'm not worried about boredom. Yeah.
Yeah. I
I'm
always,
interested in everything.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know. Good for you. And I think that's what, I know. I think Kevin Sebesta and I talked about how, that's just the way our brain thinks, right? We're just always interested in learning new things or, testing something out. I always find it interesting, especially like if I meet somebody new, let's say, I'm in like this business lunch group and sometimes we'll get a new member that joins or something. And usually when I'm introducing myself or talking to them, I'll ask them a question. I'm like, hey, so, let's say a lot of them are like small business owners and stuff like that in the group. And I'm like, hey, let's say, you sold your business and, you could do whatever you wanted tomorrow. Like you get up and do whatever. Like, what
Yeah.
would you do? Like, what's your passion? And it's crazy how many people were like, I never really thought about it. It's me. It's like I have so many things I want to do, but things were always getting in the way, right?
Yeah, the one that I hear that makes me laugh is I'd probably start another company.
Yeah.
Like that just drives. I don't understand that at all.
Actually,
I
yeah.
feel like
Well,
the whole
Scott,
point of like being really successful commercially is so you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. But maybe if I'd started a company, I wouldn't understand. I don't know.
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, since I retired, I've started too, but because I just can't stop. You can't stop. Um, but no, uh, I was going to say that taking the foot off the gas a little bit, right? When you kind of talked about like Coast Fi, I remember, I think it was like one of the very first economy conferences that I was at in Cincinnati. And I remember one of the main stage speakers was talking about um, Coast Fi. And it was like I was very new to this and I was learning what Coast Fi was. And I remember like sitting in the crowd, I'm like on my iPad and I'm like, you know, looking up my balances and doing math and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I am Coast Fi.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was just
rad.
like, whoa. So that whole weekend, I'm at this event saying, I can totally like I can stop contributing now. And
Yeah,
now it's like your life changes because now you have so much more. Because at the time, that's when I was again accelerating things. I was putting like 60% of my income into my retirement
yeah,
accounts. And so now
yeah.
all of a sudden I had that income where it's like I could do things and I could contribute to causes that, are important to me. I could do all these things.
Or I
And
don't have to get the generic beer.
yeah, exactly. It's those things. I could get the fancy coffee.
Yeah, yeah,
Go ahead, add the guacamole. It's fine.
yeah. Right. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. Um, so if do you think that like if someone is in their 40s or 50s, like what are some of the first things to think of, I guess, mechanically, right? Finances wise. Like, I mean, did you like really try to analyze the finances, try to figure that out, look at budgets and stuff before you pulled the trigger?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing is to not have debt. That's the most important thing. And in fact, we took out. It's not a HELOC, but it's similar to a HELOC in an account that we have for this yard project. This big renovation thing. And uh, that's one of the things my wife and I were talking about yesterday. Is it's not a ton of money, but we said we would never consider firing if there's any debt. Like there's no plan of going a next level up in or next level down in income without the debt being gone first, not including the mortgage, because
Sure.
we have a lower interest rate. And um, so that's the first thing. Yeah, and then the second thing is actually figuring out how much you spend, which is I find so much more complicated than it sounds like. There are a lot of like one-off expenses, like the yard thing, for example, um, and things that are going to only be while the kids are this age or something. So it's get a good handle on how much of your income you're relying on for your household expenses. Because if you drop down and you realize, oh yeah, we're scraping by, we can't pay the credit card bills every week, every month, then you're not in a position to do it. So that was kind of important for us. I mean, I think it's vital.
Yep.
Um, and then yeah, like you said, with the Coast Fi of getting a handle on how much more will this set me back, and just a reckoning, is that okay? Like if it's 2 years, um, are you okay with 2 years? Like, is it, if your job is soul crushing and you absolutely hate getting ready for work in the morning and
Right.
driving in, as you know that you're going to be thinking all day about the end of the day, then I'm not sure if that's the right solution, because that's giving you more time, more years of your life to that job.
Hmm.
It may be better to find another job that makes the same or even less money if you can afford it with using the same calculation. Um, and then, um, I, yeah, so figuring out if it's going to be a few more years. I guess one of the like milestones in for us in the Coast Fi sort of progression was that we realized that our net worth was gaining as much or more from just interest and growth as it was from our own contributions.
Mm.
And that felt like, I mean, in fact, it was more by the time I actually stepped down to 0.9. And that was a big psychological safety net for us, is
Sure.
knowing we're not the biggest part of our growth anymore, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. That's when you really start to realize that, your money's making money.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people, again, it takes so long to get to that point. I think that's what's so hard for people
Oh, for sure. For
because
sure.
that
We didn't
beginning
start
part,
this a few years ago.
yeah, it takes so long to get there. But then once you're there, it's like, oh, it's kind of like now I see how investing
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too bad that, like, people, I'm sure, in my 20s and early 30s told me about these concepts and said, well, you're young, and I was just, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, I just wasn't, I understood it as a concept. I didn't
Right.
understand it as something that was part of my life yet. You know,
Sure.
it was only after I started seeing, once we got to maybe six figures net worth, I could like look from one week or month to the next and say, how did that happen? Like
Right.
a little bit came up. I could see that. Yeah. But it takes some momentum first before you can actually experience it and really feel it. Yeah. But it
That,
happens.
yeah, totally, totally. Are there some things that you haven't yet done, in your kind of like mini retire, your lightened schedule that you're
Sure.
looking forward to doing? Like, what are some of those
Yeah. Yeah.
things?
There are quite a few. For one thing, my wife and I love travel. We try to travel a lot, and we're starting to try to figure out travel hacking and points. It's a real coursework to try to really get good at this stuff. But we've started dipping our toe into that, and
I might ask you for some pointers because I got my first credit card, and
yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it. So
So there's a course called 10x Travel
okay,
from the company that they have a podcast also, but they have like a for beginners course that my wife has done it, and I'm going to do it in little pieces on Fridays. That is a good beginning starting point, I think.
got
Yeah.
it.
Um, so free plug for them. Um, but yeah, so there's a lot more we want to do with travel, and have one of the nice things about having it a Friday off instead of a Thursday or a Wednesday or something is I can do little more small trips. Like we're gonna our younger daughter, she's gonna be a freshman in high school. She and her friends like this band, this emo band that or screamo, I think,
Yeah.
that I can't stand,
Is
but
it
she
Pierce the
loves them.
Veil? Pierce the Veil?
Yes.
Yeah,
Good
dude. They're
job.
not. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe I just haven't heard the right Pierce the Veil song yet. You can give me tips on that.
okay.
Um, but they're playing a show in Milwaukee on this 3-day weekend that Minnesotans all have off from school, called MEA.
Yeah.
And she asked us. She said, "My friends are going to this. Can I go?" And I said, "Well, Mama and I won't go to the show, but we'll bring you there though, and you can go to the show with your friends, and we'll hang out in Milwaukee and do fun things there
Right on.
because we weekend, you know. So there are lots of little trips like that, and like there's a bike race I do in the fall where you have to take a Friday off. I don't have to take a Friday off; it's already off,
Sure.
to go to the North Shore. But there are also there are some big ambitious bicycling oriented things that I'd really like to do, like a tour. There's a tour called the Great Divide Mountain Bike Route that goes from Banff all the way down along the Continental Divide to the Mexican border in New
Oh my
Mexico.
gosh, how many miles is that?
I think 2,600. Yeah,
Wow.
and it's all on like dirt roads or fire trails or single track. So you got to bring all your camping equipment on your bike, and
Sure.
yeah, all
I
bike pack.
mean, I say that'd be fun, but I know I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I could see myself, but it would be something that would take me a couple of months, I think. And so that's more traditional retirement or another sabbatical
Hmm.
potentially, or maybe I could take a 3 or 4 weeks of just regular PTO and just do it that way
Yeah,
in parts. You know, do it half 1 year and half the other year or something like that.
right
So
on.
there are bigger things like that, and um, yeah, the biggest things all have to do with travel. And I my guitar learning is going really slowly, and I think I'd like to amp that up a little bit. No pun intended. Yeah,
Right on. That's awesome.
yeah.
What how many bikes do you own?
I think currently five.
Okay.
Um, let's see, one, two, yeah, five. Uh, I don't know that I need all of them. I'll admit that.
Are they for
There's
different
one of
types
them.
of like
Yeah,
terrain
they're
or
all different.
weather?
They're no, not exactly. So
Okay.
one is a fancy mountain bike, full suspension mountain bike, um, and that's just it's a really fun way to ride the trails when it's really light and really responsive. Um, the, the other is the other mountain bike is my original mountain bike from like 10 years ago. It's just a hardtail, and that's what I I reserve it for when I have a friend visiting from out of town who wants to ride with me, or when my other bike might be getting worked on. But that thankfully has not happened yet. And then I have a steel gravel bike, which is like a drop bar bike for
Hmm.
riding on gravel roads. That's really comfortable but heavy and not that fast. And that would probably be the one I would take on the Great Divide mountain bike route. And then I have a carbon fiber zoomy fast racing gravel bike,
Wow.
which is my current like honey. And then I have a late '50s Raleigh English 3-speed bike, like a bike that the you know Englishmen would take to the pub in 1960 or
But
something like that.
that's because
Yeah,
you're a collector, right? Yeah.
yeah. I didn't pay much for it, and it works fine. So I have a hard time parting with it because it's kind of cool to own this piece of history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah,
buddy
that's
that
just like for riding to the tap room or something, you know?
sure. I have a buddy that he moved from like West Virginia to the Phoenix area to Arizona.
Wow.
For he had family and stuff there, and he worked in tech, so like he work remotely and stuff. But he moved, and I noticed some posts online and stuff, and I called him, and he now has been actively he's in like this mountain biking club in Arizona,
Nice.
and they bike
Nice. That's a great
all
way
the
to do it.
time. Yeah, they bike all the time.
Yeah, we moved to Rwanda when Zoe was a toddler for a couple of years, and I was told there's not really the roads are, there are not many paved roads. It's not that great for cyclists, but the mountain biking is really good because it's so hilly, and um, and there are lots of dirt roads and paths and things. And um, they whoever said that to us ahead of us going was really right. And so they put us in touch with a group of turned out they were all guys who go every Saturday or every Sunday. And I bought a mountain bike specifically to learn how to do it there, and showed up just saying, "You guys will show me how, right?" And it was great to have this regular group of people because I could, after getting to know each other, I could trust them. Like if they said, "You're capable of doing this," I would think, "No, I'm not." And then I would say, "Well, but they're not crazy and they don't dislike me or anything, and they just did it, so why don't I try?" And it was a great learning environment. So that's especially for people earlier in into mountain biking. It's an awesome way to get together, and just to have people you do something hard and you catch your breath and stop and chat for a little bit. You kind of get to know each other. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
I haven't ridden a bike in probably 10 years.
Let's go, man.
I know. You've met Bob Dictate, like in our group, right?
Yes, but I haven't seen him in a while. Yeah.
I was to say, have you been biking with him? I know he goes biking a lot.
Yeah, we talked about it, and we just sort of forgot to make it happen. Yeah, he lives kind of on the other side of town from me, but it doesn't mean that's a good excuse. I actually should try to find him again. Thanks for the reminder.
Awesome. Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, I'm going to say, Scott, this has been super fun. Thanks for sharing your story and, being able to inspire others that there may be a way to kind of take the foot off the gas. I guess downshift a little bit into retirement so you don't have to do it all at once. I kind of like that plan. I like that idea. So, is there one last takeaway you want to leave with the listeners today?
Yeah, I think it would be just try to be aware of what you're trying to optimize for. Like if you're trying to optimize for wealth, downshifting is not for you. If you're trying to optimize for happiness, you can either do it in one phase of life or another, perhaps, or you can try to spread it out more evenly across your life. And that's the way I think to really think through this.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, man. Thanks, Scott. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, thanks for listening. Thanks for following along on YouTube. And you please go like, subscribe, share us wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you next time on the Extreme Personal Finance Show. See ya.
Yeah.